Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to another edition of Metal Math. Gotta put the guitar down and I'll be right with you. Okay, today's lesson is going to be on line plots. Okay, that's actually chapter 12 in your books, and it's lesson 5. I'm going to go over the unlock the problem with you and just show you how to set up a line plot, how we use them. They're basically used for gathering data. Okay, so here is our problem. It says the data shows the lengths of the buttons in Jen's collection. For an art project, she wants to know how many buttons are longer than 1/4 of an inch. Okay, just to let you know, if you go to Think Central, log into the student edition, chapter 12, lesson 5, which begins on page 665. That's the little lesson we're going to do today. Okay, so that was our problem. We can use a line plot to solve the problem. A line plot is a graph that shows the frequency of data along a number line. Okay, so I set it up behind me. I'm going to take the camera over there and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, for example 1. First we're going to do what's called order the data. Okay, step 1. And if you notice over here in your book, okay, right here, all right, those are the lengths of all the buttons that she has. Okay, so if you notice over here, what we did was we took the length of the buttons. All right, back it up there for you. All right, and there's the length of all her buttons. What we want to do is we want to order these lengths. We want to order the buttons based on how many there are of each length. So if you notice down here, when I ordered the data, I took first the 1/4, and there were 3 of them. Okay, then for 3/4 there was 1, and for 4/4 there were 2. Okay, and those were all the buttons that we had. Okay, so we order them by length, and if you notice there, we went shortest to longest. Okay, and then what we did is we're going to take those and we're going to put them in order from shortest to longest in groups. And if you see right here, there we go. We have 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 3/4, 4/4, and 4/4. Okay, so we basically group them in order from shortest to longest. Okay, based on the information we have from here and up here. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to construct our line plot. Okay, let me just make sure this doesn't fall down on you. Okay, we're going to construct our line plot right here, and it's basically a number line. And since all of our fractions are listed right here, we're going to start with 1/4, which is our shortest. Okay, and then 2/4. Even though there weren't any buttons for 2/4, we still want to include it there as a unit fraction. Okay, a multiple of the fraction 1/4. So we start with 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and then 4/4. And then what we do is we're going to refer to down here again and see how many of each button we have. So if you notice, we had 3 of the 1/4. Sorry about that. We have 3 of the 1/4. So what I'm going to do over here at my number line, I'm going to go to the 1/4. I'm going to put 3 X's representing the 3 buttons that were 1/4. Okay, now, we said we didn't have any 2/4, so we leave 2/4 blank. We don't put anything above it. Now we go to the 3/4, and as you can see, we have 1 for 3/4, So we put 1x above the 3/4. And then we go to 4/4, and we notice that there are 2, so we're going to put 2 x's. And there is our line plot showing the data. Okay, now we have to look at the questions that we were asked. Okay, and once again the question said, she wants to know how many buttons are longer than 1/4 of an inch. So here's what we have to do. Go over to our line plot. They have to be longer than 1/4. So we're not going to include these. We're going to look to the buttons that are longer. Well, there weren't any here, but there's 1x here, and there's 2 x's here. So we have a total of 3 x's. That means that there are 3 buttons that are longer than 1/4 of an inch. Okay, see how we can use the line plot to compare the size of the buttons. Okay? Now, when we go down to the bottom, the next 2 questions that we want to look at on the bottom, the first question says, how many buttons are in Jen's collection? So they want to know the total number of buttons. Easiest way to do this, count your x's. Let's go over here. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So how many buttons are there total? There are 6 buttons, represented by the x's. Okay, that was question number 1 at the bottom. Now, question 2. It says, what is the difference in length between the longest button and the shortest button in Jen's collection? Now, there's a key word in there. What is the difference? Difference being our key word. And whenever we hear the word difference, remember what operation that tells us to use. And I know right now all of you are remembering that that is subtraction. Okay, so basically here what we're going to do is we're going to find the difference between the longest, and if we check our number line, we can check our data. 4/4 is the longest. 1/4 is the shortest. So basically what we're going to do here is we're going to take our 4/4, subtract 1/4 from it, and remember what we do is here we have a common denominator. We only subtract the numerators. So 4 minus 1 equals 3. Keep the denominator the same, which is 4. And the answer to what is the difference in length between the longest and shortest button, the answer is 3/4. Okay, it's 3/4 of an inch. Make sure you label your answer. Okay, so I'm going to show you the board once again close up. So when you're filling out your, actually, you know what? Let me turn this around. Sorry about that, kids. Okay, wait a minute. I know you don't want to spend too much time looking at me. I don't know why. All right, well, let's continue with it like this. Okay, here we go. Here's what our board looks like. Try to get it all in there for you. And remember, you could always take a picture of this if you want. Or actually, you could just hit pause, and you can look at the diagram right there and fill in the answers in your book. Okay? And that is our lesson today on line plots. Okay? Have a good evening, and I'll be back again with another lesson soon.